The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was silent. 47 species had gathered in the floating station that orbited a dying star. Their ships filled the space around them like a sea of metal and light. This was the most important meeting in 1,000 years. High Speaker stood at the center of the chamber. His tall gray body cast a long shadow across the floor. His 4 eyes looked at each representative one by one. They had all come to decide the fate of a small blue planet called Earth. "The humans have refused our demands," said. His voice was cold like ice. "They will not give us their resources. They will not bow to our rule. They believe they are our equals." Laughter filled the hall. The delegates, massive creatures with scales and sharp teeth, found this very funny. The beings of pure energy flickered with amusement. Even the silent pale ones made sounds that might have been laughter. "Equals," repeated Ambassador Thresh of the Empire. He was the largest creature in the room. "They have been in space for less than 200 years. They are children playing with toys they do not understand." "They are insects," added the representative. "Their weapons are primitive. Their ships are slow. What threat could they possibly be?" Raised his hand for silence. "That is why we are here today. The humans have something we want. Their planet sits on top of the largest deposit of quantum crystals in this arm of the galaxy. With those crystals, we could power our civilizations for 10,000 years." The representatives nodded. Everyone knew about the crystals. Everyone wanted them. "I propose we take what we want," continued. "I propose we subjugate Earth, make the humans our servants, use them as labor to mine their own world." A vote appeared on every screen in the chamber. The question was simple. Should the Galactic Council invade Earth and subjugate humanity? One by one, the votes came in. Yes, 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 all 47 species agreed. Not a single one voted against the invasion. The humans would be conquered. Their planet would be stripped. Their people would become slaves. Far away, on a moon orbiting Earth, Admiral received the transmission. He was an old man with gray hair and kind eyes, but those kind eyes hid something dangerous. He had served in the Korean Navy for 30 years before joining the Global Defense Force. He had seen war. He had caused war, and he was very, very good at it. "Sir," said his aide, a young woman named, "the Council has voted. They are coming." Looked at the screen showing the alien armada. Thousands of ships were already forming up. They would reach Earth in 3 weeks. "How many ships?" he asked. 12,000, sir, maybe more." Nodded slowly. He took a sip of his tea. It was cold, but he drank it anyway. "Contact the other admirals," he said. "Tell them to wake up the fleet." His eyes went wide. "The hidden fleet, are you sure?" "The time for hiding is over," replied. He stood up and walked to the window. Below him, the surface of the moon stretched out gray and empty. But beneath that surface, buried in tunnels and caves, waited humanity's true power. For 50 years, humans had known about the aliens. For 50 years, they had watched and learned. They had studied alien technology from crashed ships. They had reverse-engineered weapons that could break planets. They had built a fleet in secret, hidden from the eyes of the galaxy. The aliens thought humans were primitive. They thought humans were weak. They had no idea what was waiting for them. Smiled, it was not a kind smile. "They voted to subjugate us," he said softly. "Every single one of them. Not one voice spoke for peace. Not one hand reached out in friendship." He turned to face. His eyes were hard now like stone. "Remember that, Lieutenant. When this is over, remember that they chose this. Every single one of them." Nodded, she understood. This would not be a defensive war. This would be something else entirely. Deep beneath the lunar surface, lights began to turn on. Engines that had been silent for decades started to hum. Crews who had trained their whole lives finally had a purpose. The hidden fleet was massive. 500 capital ships, each one larger than anything the aliens had. 2,000 cruisers armed with weapons that bent space and time, 10,000 fighters that could move faster than light. Humanity had not been idle during their years of watching. They had been preparing. In Seoul, General received the alert. He was eating dinner with his family when his phone buzzed. He read the message and his face went pale. "What is it?" his wife asked. "Work," he said simply. He kissed her forehead and left without another word. In Tokyo, Captain was pulled from her sleep. In Mumbai, Colonel Minu left his post at the training academy. In New York, Ambassador was briefed by nervous officials who could not meet her eyes. All around the world, humanity prepared for war. But this was not the panic preparation of a species facing doom. This was calm, organized, almost eager. Watch the reports come in. Every station reported ready. Every ship reported armed. Every soldier reported willing. "Send a message to the council," he said. "What should it say, sir?" Thought for a moment, then he smiled that cold smile again. "Tell them we accept their terms. Tell them we will surrender peacefully. Tell them to come and take what they want." Looked confused. "But sir, we are not surrendering." "No," agreed. "We are not, but I want them confident. I want them relaxed. I want them to walk into our home thinking we are sheep." He turned back to the window, to the stars that would soon be filled with alien ships. "And when they arrive, they will learn the truth. Sheep do not build weapons like ours. Sheep do not wait 50 years in silence. Sheep do not remember every insult, every threat, every vote cast against them." The message was sent. The aliens received it with joy. The humans were surrendering. The war was already won. They had no idea how wrong they were. In 3 weeks, the greatest armada the galaxy had ever seen would arrive at Earth. They expected to find a planet on its knees. Instead, they would find Admiral waiting for them. And behind him, the full might of a species that had turned the art of war into something the galaxy had never seen before. Humanity was ready. The aliens were not. The alien armada dropped out of hyperspace near Mars. 12,000 ships filled the darkness of space like stars made of metal. Their weapons were charged. Their crews were ready. Victory was certain. Fleet Commander stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Conquest. He was a warrior, 7 feet tall with scales the color of blood. He had conquered 20 worlds in his long career. Earth would be number 21. "Status report," he demanded. "All ships in position, Commander. No human resistance detected. Their planet is defenseless." Smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "As expected, begin the approach. We will be on Earth within hours." The armada moved forward. They passed Mars without incident. They passed the asteroid belt without trouble. Earth grew larger on their screens, blue and green and beautiful. Still no resistance. "Commander," said his sensor officer, "I am detecting some activity near the Earth's moon." "What kind of activity?" "Unknown, it appears to be. Construction of some kind, many energy signatures." Waved his hand dismissively. "Probably their mining operations. The crystals are deep beneath their crust. They are likely trying to extract them before we arrive. Foolish creatures." The armada continued forward. Then the moon exploded with light. Not an explosion of destruction, an explosion of ships, hundreds of them, rising from the lunar surface like demons from the underworld. They were massive, bigger than anything the aliens had ever seen. Their hulls were black as night, marked only by symbols the aliens did not recognize. "What is this?" shouted. "Where did these ships come from?" Before anyone could answer, more ships appeared. They came from behind asteroids. They rose from the dark side of the moon. They seemed to materialize from empty space itself. Commander sat in the command chair of the human flagship, the Eternal Flame. She was a small woman, barely 5 feet tall, but her presence filled the bridge. She had been trained for this moment since she was 16 years old. All ships report status, she said calmly. The voices came back, one after another. Ready, ready, ready. Looked at the alien armada on her screen. 12,000 ships, thinking they were unstoppable. She almost felt sorry for them. Almost. Open a channel to the alien fleet, she ordered. The communication link was established. Commander appeared on her screen, his reptilian face twisted with confusion and rage. "What is this?" he demanded. "You said you would surrender." Smiled, I lied. Then she cut the channel. "All ships," she said, her voice cold as space itself, "weapons free." What happened next would be studied in military academies across the galaxy for thousands of years. The humans did not fight like any species the Council had ever faced. They fought like something from a nightmare. Their weapons did not fire energy beams or missiles. They fired something far worse: quantum torpedoes that existed in multiple places at once, gravity cannons that crushed ships into balls of metal, temporal disruptors that aged enemy hulls to dust in seconds. The alien armada had never faced anything like this. They had conquered primitive worlds with ease. They had bullied weaker species into submission. They had never fought a real war. Humans had been fighting real wars for 10,000 years. Commander watched in horror as his ships died. One, then 10, then 100. The human vessels moved through his fleet like wolves among sheep, tearing and destroying everything they touched. "Return fire," he screamed. "All ships return fire." His ships tried. Their weapons reached out toward the human fleet, but the black ships simply were not there. They moved too fast, too unpredictably. Human pilots flew as if they were born in the void of space. Captain led a squadron of fighters through the heart of the alien formation. Her ship, the Silent Wind, danced between enemy vessels like a leaf in a storm. Where she passed, alien ships exploded. "Stay together," she told her pilots. "Watch each other's backs. These aliens are not used to fighting. Show them what real soldiers can do." Her squadron followed her into hell, and they came out the other side with alien blood on their wings. On the Eternal Conquest, alarms were screaming. Half the fleet was gone. The human ships kept coming, relentless and unstoppable. "Commander," said his second officer, voice shaking, "we must retreat. We cannot win this fight." Wanted to argue, he wanted to fight. But he was a warrior, not a fool. He could see the truth in the flames of his dying ships. "All vessels fall back. Retreat to the hyperspace point." But the humans had thought of that too. A line of human ships appeared behind the alien fleet, blocking their escape. They were trapped between the moon and the black wall of human warships. His voice came over every alien channel. "You came to our home. You came to take our world. You came to make us your slaves." Her words echoed through every alien ship, in every alien ear. "Did you think we would just let you?" The second wave of human ships opened fire. These were the heavy cruisers, the planet killers, the weapons that humanity had spent 50 years building in secret. Knew he was going to die. He could see it in the approaching storm of fire. But he was a warrior, and warriors did not beg. "To all ships that can hear me," he said, "fight to the last, die with honor." But his crews did not want to die with honor. They wanted to live. Across the fleet, ships tried to surrender. They powered down weapons. They broadcast peace signals. The humans did not stop firing. Watched the alien fleet burn. She felt nothing. These creatures had voted to enslave her people. Every single one of them had raised their hand against Earth. Now they were paying the price. "Commander," said her tactical officer, "some ships are trying to surrender." "I see them," replied. "Should we accept?" Was quiet for a long moment. Then she remembered the vote. 47-0. Not one voice had spoken for humanity. Not one species had offered mercy. "Continue firing," she said. The Battle of Earth lasted 4 hours. When it was over, the alien armada was gone. 12,000 ships had been reduced to floating debris. Not a single human vessel had been lost. In the Galactic Council chamber, alarms were ringing. The representatives watched in horror as their fleet vanished from their screens. "This is impossible," High Speaker whispered. "They were supposed to be primitives." But the humans were not primitives. They never had been. On the Eternal Flame, opened a channel to Admiral. "Phase 1 complete," she reported. "The invasion fleet has been destroyed." Nodded, his face showed no joy, no satisfaction, only cold determination. "Begin Phase 2, he ordered. "Take the fleet beyond the solar system, find their bases, find their colonies." Understood, this war was not over, it had only just begun. "And sir," she asked, "what about the Council?" "Leave them for now, let them watch, let them see what they have awakened." The human fleet began to move, not back to Earth but outward toward the stars. They had defended their home, now they would go on the offensive. Humanity was done hiding. Humanity was done being afraid. Now it was the galaxy's turn to be afraid. The news of the defeat spread across the galaxy like fire through dry grass. Every species heard. Every world knew. The humans had destroyed the greatest armada ever assembled, and they had done it without losing a single ship. Panic gripped the council. Representatives shouted at each other, blaming one another for the disaster. High Speaker tried to restore order, but no one listened. They were too afraid. "We must send another fleet," screamed the ambassador, his scales turning white with rage. "A larger fleet, we will crush them." "With what ships?" replied a delegate. "We sent our best, they are gone, all of them." "Then we build more." "That will take years. Do you think the humans will wait?" The answer came sooner than anyone expected. 3 days after the battle, human ships appeared in space. They did not attack. They attacked supply lines, fuel stations, and military bases. They struck fast and vanished before anyone could respond. General commanded the campaign from his flagship, the Iron Mountain. He was a careful man, patient and methodical. He had studied the alien civilizations for decades. He knew their weaknesses better than they knew themselves. "They are aggressive but not smart," he told his officers. "They rely on strength. Take away their strength and they fall apart." His strategy was simple: cut off resources, destroy communication networks, isolate each star system from the others, make the enemy fight blind. It worked perfectly. The Empire had never faced an enemy like this. Their battles had always been direct confrontations, ship against ship, weapon against weapon. They did not understand guerrilla warfare. They did not understand hit-and-run tactics. They did not understand humans. Captain led her squadron deeper into enemy territory. She targeted shipyards and manufacturing centers. Her pilots became ghosts, appearing without warning and disappearing before retaliation could come. "Captain," said her second-in-command, a young man named, "we have found their main fuel depot. It supplies 30% of their military fleet." Studied the target. It was heavily defended, surrounded by gun platforms and patrol ships. Any normal attack would be suicide. She smiled. Normal was not a word humans used. "We will attack at shift change," she decided. "Their crews will be distracted. Their sensors will be compromised. We hit hard, we hit fast, and we are gone before they know what happened." The attack was perfect. Squadron swept through the depot's defenses like a knife through water. Wing destroyed the command center while herself led the assault on the fuel reserves. When they left, nothing remained but fire and wreckage. 30% of the military would be stranded within weeks. But the humans were not finished. Colonel Menu commanded the assault on space. They were different from They were beings of pure energy, living in artificial bodies that could be rebuilt if destroyed. They thought this made them immortal. Menu proved them wrong. Human scientists had studied them for years. They understood how their energy forms worked. More importantly, they understood how to disrupt them. The weapons Menu's fleet carried were not lasers or missiles. They were resonance disruptors, devices that could shatter the frequency patterns that held consciousness together. One shot from these weapons, and it did not just die. They ceased to exist entirely. The first world fell in 6 hours, the second fell in 4. By the fifth, they were not even fighting back. They were running. "This is impossible," a commander broadcast. "We are eternal. We cannot be destroyed like this." Menu answered personally. "You are not eternal, you are just energy, and energy can be changed. Energy can be scattered. Energy can be ended." He destroyed that commander's ship with a single torpedo. Across the galaxy, the other species watched in terror. The humans were not just defending themselves. They were hunting. They were punishing. They were showing the galaxy what happened to those who threatened Earth. The Pale Ones, a species that communicated only through thought, tried to surrender. They broadcast a message of peace, offering to leave the Council and never threaten humanity again. General considered their offer. "They voted against us," Admiral reminded him, "every one of them. But they are surrendering now. They are surrendering because they are afraid. If we were losing, they would show us no mercy." Knew the Admiral was right. He had seen the Council's plans for Earth: slavery, exploitation, the complete destruction of human culture and identity. These aliens had intended to wipe humanity from the face of the galaxy. "Accept their surrender," decided, "but they will pay a price. Their fleet will be dismantled. Their weapons technology will be given to us, and they will answer to humanity from this day forward." The Pale Ones agreed. They had no choice. One by one, the Council species began to fall. Some fought and were crushed. Others surrendered and were absorbed. The human fleet grew stronger with each victory, capturing alien technology and turning it against its creators. Captain became famous throughout the galaxy. The aliens called her the Silent Death because her ship made no sound before it struck. She had destroyed more enemy vessels than any other pilot in human history. But she took no joy in the killing. "This is not about revenge," she told her squadron. "This is about survival. They chose to attack us. They chose to make us their enemy. Now we must show them that choice had consequences." General coordinated everything from the Iron Mountain. He barely slept. He studied every battle, every victory, every defeat. He made sure his forces never overextended, never became vulnerable. "War is not about strength," he told his officers. "War is about patience. The enemy will make mistakes. We simply need to be ready when they do." The Council's mistakes came faster and faster. Their coordination collapsed. Their alliances broke apart. Species that had been friends for centuries now fought each other, each one trying to save themselves. Within 3 months, humanity controlled 20 star systems that had once belonged to the Council. Within 6 months, that number had doubled. Admiral watched the progress with quiet satisfaction. The plan was working. The galaxy was learning. "Sir," said Lieutenant, "High Speaker has requested a meeting. He wants to discuss terms." "Terms?" raised an eyebrow. "What terms could he possibly offer?" "He says the Council is willing to recognize human independence. He says they will leave Earth alone forever." Laughed, it was not a happy sound. "Tell the High Speaker that independence is not enough. Tell him that we do not want to be left alone." "Then what do we want, sir?" "Turn to face the stars. Somewhere out there, the Council was huddling in fear. Somewhere out there, the beings who had voted to enslave his people were beginning to understand their mistake." "We want everything," he said. "We want them to kneel. We want them to serve. We want them to know for the rest of their existence that they should never have touched Earth." He turned back to, "Prepare the fleet for the final phase. We are going to there. We are going to finish this." The hunt was almost over. Soon it would be time for the reckoning. Humanity was coming, and nothing in the galaxy could stop them. The skies of Prime turned black with human ships. The had stood for 10,000 years. It had never been invaded. It had never known defeat. There were warriors, conquerors, the masters of 100 worlds. Now they looked up and saw their end approaching. Colonel Menu commanded the invasion fleet. His ships hung in the sky like a judgment from an angry god. Below him, cities that had stood for waited for destruction. "Open a channel to the surface," he ordered. The channel opened. On the screen appeared an elder, ancient and from centuries of battle. His name was the supreme leader of the empire. Human growled, "Have you come to destroy us?" Menu looked at the old warrior. He saw pride. He saw fear. He saw a creature that was beginning to understand what he had helped to create. "That depends on you," Menu replied. "Your fleet is gone. Your colonies have fallen. Your allies have abandoned you. You have nothing left except what I choose to leave you." Scales shifted color. Among this meant shame. "What do you want?" "Surrender, complete and unconditional. Your weapons, your ships, your technology, everything becomes ours." "And our people?" Menu was quiet for a moment. He thought of the vote, 47-0. They had been eager to enslave humanity. They had laughed at the idea of human equality. "Your people will live," he said finally, "but they will serve. For 100 years they will work to rebuild what your invasion destroyed. You will mine your own resources for our use. You will build ships for our fleet. You will learn what it means to bow." His massive hands clenched into fists. Every instinct told him to fight. But he was old and he was wise, and he knew that fighting would only bring death. 100 years, he repeated. 100 years. After that, we will review your behavior. If you have served well, your freedom will be returned. If not, Menu let the threat hang in the air. Lowered his head, "We accept." The Empire fell without another shot being fired. On the other side of the galaxy, Captain approached the core worlds. These were not planets, but vast energy stations where they lived as pure beings of light. They had existed for millions of years, longer than any other species in the galaxy. Now they trembled at the approach of human ships. The Elder Council appeared on screen. They were beautiful, glowing figures of shifting light and color, but their light flickered with fear. "We surrender," the lead elder said immediately. "We offer no resistance. Please show mercy." Studied them carefully. Mercy, an interesting word. Did you consider mercy when you voted to subjugate Earth? "We were wrong, we see that now. We were arrogant, we were foolish." "Yes," agreed, "you were." She thought of her family back on Earth. Her mother, her brother, her nieces and nephews. The aliens had planned to enslave them all. They had planned to destroy everything humanity had built. "You will give us your technology," she said. "All of it. Every secret, every discovery, every advancement you have made in your millions of years of existence." "That is everything we are," an elder protested. "Yes, it is. And you will give it to us, or I will use these ships to scatter your consciousness across the void. You will not die. You will simply cease to think. Forever." The threat was not empty. Human scientists had developed ways to disrupt energy patterns without destroying them. The result was a kind of eternal prison, consciousness without thought, existence without awareness. The elders agreed. They had no choice. One by one, the council worlds fell. Some surrendered immediately. Others fought briefly before realizing the hopelessness of their situation. A few held out longer, but in the end, the result was always the same. Human ships in their skis, human soldiers on their ground, human voices speaking the terms of their defeat. Colonel Menu broadcast a single message to each world they conquered. "You came for us. We came for you." It became a symbol, a warning, a promise. The pale ones bent their knees before human ambassadors. The hive mind opened their collective consciousness to human inspection. The machine intelligence of the digital collective powered down their weapons and opened their databases. Every species that had voted against Earth now served Earth. High Speaker watched from the council station as his empire crumbled. He had ruled the galaxy for 3 centuries. He had thought himself the most powerful being in existence. Now he was nothing. "We must run," his advisors told him. "We must hide, perhaps at the edge of the galaxy where they cannot find us." "Where would we go?" asked. "They are everywhere, they have taken everything." He looked at the map of known space. Every territory once controlled by the council now showed human colors. Every fleet once loyal to him now answered to human commanders. Every world that had obeyed his voice now trembled at the sound of human boots. "How did this happen?" he whispered. "How did we fall so far so fast?" His chief advisor, an old diplomat named, spoke carefully. "We underestimated them, High Speaker. We saw a young species and assumed they were weak. We did not understand what they really were." "And what are they?" Was quiet for a long moment. "They are predators, High Speaker, the deadliest predators the galaxy has ever seen. They evolved on a death world where everything was trying to kill them. They did not merely survive. They conquered their world completely. Every other species on their planet either serves them or fears them. But we are not animals on their planet. No, we are something worse. We are enemies who threaten their home, and humans do not forgive threats to their home." The station's alarms began to ring. Human ships had been detected on approach. "They are here," an officer reported. 300 vessels. They are asking for our surrender." Closed his 4 eyes. He remembered the vote. He remembered how confident they had all been. He remembered the laughter when someone suggested the humans might fight back. No one was laughing now. "Open a channel," he ordered. Tell them we surrender." The message was sent. The response came quickly. Admiral appeared on the screen. His face was calm, showing no emotion. Behind him, human officers watched silently. "High Speaker said, you once voted to enslave my people. You once laughed at the idea of human freedom. Wanted to look away, but he forced himself to meet the humans' eyes. I did. Every species in this galaxy voted against us. Every single one. Yes. Now you will answer for that vote, not with death, but with service. You will spend the rest of your existence making amends for the wrong you tried to do." Bowed his head. "We accept." The council that had ruled the galaxy for 50,000 years ceased to exist in that moment. In its place stood a new power, young and terrible, and absolutely without mercy. Humanity had come to the stars, and the stars had learned to fear them. The great hall of the Galactic Council looked different now. The floating station still orbited the dying star. The chamber still held representatives from 47 species, but everything else had changed. Where once the aliens had stood tall and proud, now they knelt. Every delegate, every ambassador, every leader who had voted to subjugate Earth now pressed their foreheads to the cold metal floor. At the center of the chamber, where High Speaker had once stood, there was now a human. Ambassador walked slowly to the speaking platform. She was a small woman, elegant and calm. Her black hair was pulled back in a simple style. Her dark eyes showed nothing of the storm that had brought them all to this moment. Behind her stood Admiral, General, Commander, Captain, and Colonel Menu, the architects of humanity's victory, the destroyers of the old order. Looked at the kneeling aliens. She remembered the reports she had read, the plans they had made for Earth, the camps they would have built, the chains they would have forged, the generations of humans who would have lived and died as slaves. "Rise," she said. The delegates stood slowly, their eyes still on the floor. None of them dared to look at her directly. "1 year ago," began, "this council voted to attack Earth. The vote was unanimous. 47 species, each one agreeing that humanity should be conquered and enslaved. She paused, letting the silence grow heavy. You thought we were weak. You thought we were primitive. You thought you could take what you wanted without consequence. High Speaker stood among the delegates, no longer a ruler but just another prisoner. His 4 eyes were dim with shame. You were wrong, continued, about everything. You did not understand what humanity is. You did not understand what we had built. You did not understand the price of threatening our home. She gestured to the behind her. It showed a map of the galaxy. Every territory was now marked in human colors. Every fleet answered to human command. Every world bent its knee to Earth. This is what your vote has cost you. Everything you had, everything you were, it all belongs to us now. A delegate fell to his knees again, unable to bear the weight of his defeat. Others followed. Soon, half the chamber was on the floor once more. But said, raising her hand, "We are not you." The delegates looked up, confused. You would have enslaved us forever. You would have stripped our planet bare and worked our people to death. You would have erased our culture, our history, our identity. She shook her head slowly. We will not do that to you. Humanity does not want an empire of slaves. We do not want subjects who hate us. We want something else. What do you want? Asked, his voice barely a whisper. Smiled. It was a cold smile, but there was something else in it too. Something that might have been hope. We want peace, real peace. A galaxy where no species threatens another, where the strong protect the weak instead of preying on them, where young civilizations are welcomed, not conquered. She stepped closer to the delegates. You will help us build that galaxy, not as slaves but as members of a new order, a human federation where every species has a voice and every world has protection. The delegates exchanged glances. This was not what they had expected. They had prepared themselves for death, for slavery, for eternal punishment. They had not prepared for this. There will be conditions, continued. You will disarm. You will open your worlds to our inspectors. You will teach us everything you know, and you will learn from us in return. For 100 years, you will pay tribute to Earth. You will provide resources, technology, and labor to rebuild what your invasion destroyed. She paused. After 100 years, if you have proven your commitment to peace, you will be welcomed as full partners in the Federation. Your worlds will be your own again. Your people will be free. And if we refuse? An elder asked. Admiral stepped forward. His voice was quiet but carried clearly through the chamber. Then you will cease to exist, not enslaved, not imprisoned, simply gone, every trace of your species erased from the galaxy. The threat was absolute. Everyone knew the humans could do it. Everyone knew they would. Choose said. The vote was quick. 47 species, each one accepting humanity's terms. Not one voice spoke against the Federation. Not one hand raised in opposition. Just as the vote against Earth had been unanimous, so was the vote for surrender. Approached after the ceremony. His massive gray body seemed smaller now, bent with shame and defeat. I must ask, he said, why not destroy us? After what we tried to do, why show any mercy at all? Considered the question. She thought of her parents who had survived the occupation of Korea decades ago. She thought of the stories they had told her, of cruelty and resistance and eventual hope. Because destruction is easy, she said. Building is hard. We could wipe you from the stars, but what would that prove? That we are just as brutal as you. That we learned nothing from your cruelty. She looked at the kneeling delegates, at the broken empires and humbled warriors. Humanity has spent its entire history fighting itself. We know what endless war looks like. We know where revenge leads. It leads to more revenge forever until nothing is left. She turned back to, we want something better, not because we are kind, but because we are tired. Tired of war, tired of fear, tired of the cycle. Nodded slowly. You are wiser than we were. No, replied. We simply had better teachers. Our history is written in blood. Every page teaches the same lesson. There must be a better way. The ceremony ended. The delegates returned to their ships, carrying the terms of their surrender to the galaxy would change forever. Admiral stood beside as they watched the alien ships depart. "Do you think they will keep their promises?" he asked. "Some will. Some will try to break free. There will be rebellions and plots and attempts at revenge. And when that happens," his eyes hardened, "we will remind them why they surrendered in the first place." Nodded. "Good." They stood in silence for a long moment, looking at the stars that now belonged to Earth. "We did the impossible," said, joining them. "We conquered a galaxy that tried to conquer us." "The hard part comes next," replied. "Ruling is harder than conquering." "We will manage," Captain said. "We always do." Colonel Minu spoke last. "They thought we were prey. They learned we were predators. Now they will learn something else." "What is that?" asked. Minu smiled. "That we are also builders, that we can create as easily as we destroy, that the same species that broke their empires can also help them become something better. It would not be easy, it would not be quick, but humanity had never been afraid of hard work. The galaxy had voted to subjugate Earth. Now the galaxy would learn to live under Earth's protection, and perhaps, in time, they would understand that this was not punishment. It was the beginning of something new. Humanity looked out at the stars and saw not conquest, but possibility. The Federation would rise, peace would come, and the species that had once laughed at Earth would one day thank them. But they would never, ever forget. The galaxy had learned its lesson, and it would remember that lesson for the rest of eternity. Never threaten humanity, never test their resolve, never forget what they are capable of. Because humanity does not forgive. But sometimes, just sometimes, they show mercy. And that mercy is worth more than all the stars in the sky.